Hi everybody. In this video, we're going to take a look at a couple of examples where the relationship between the two variables is linear, and we are going to write an equation that describes that relationship. So let's take a look at the first example. Lori was $6 in debt. That means she doesn't have $6, she owes somebody $6. So we would usually represent that with a negative number we would represent that with a negative rather than a positive. Okay, so she was $6 in debt, so she set up a lemonade stand to start making money. She earns $3 in profit from the lemonade stand each day. If X represents the number of days that go by, and Y represents how much money Lori has, write an equation that relates these two quantities. Okay. So to answer that, we're going to take it step by step, and we're going to try to find a pattern. Once we find that pattern, it's going to be easy to write the relationship in the form of an equation. So after 0 days go by, so Lori just set up this lemonade stand, but she hasn't really done anything with it yet. So after 0 days go by, how much money does Lori have? Well, remember, she was $6 in debt to begin with. So after 0 days go by and she hasn't had time to make any money yet, she would still be $6 in debt. So if Y represents the amount of money she has, then we can write that after 0 days go by, Y is equal to -6. Okay, so she's still $6 in debt, which we represent with a negative number. After 1 day goes by, then how much money would she have? Well, we know that she's earning a profit of $3 each day, right? So the amount of money that she has, and remember Y represents the amount of money she has, would be -6 plus the $3 in profit that she earns from that day. -6 plus 3 would be -3. But you know what? I'm not going to write -3 here. I'm just going to leave this as -6 plus 3. Okay? And if you're thinking, but isn't that just equal to -6 plus 3? Isn't that just equal to -3? You're right, it is equal to -3, but I'm not going to write that here, and you'll see why later, because writing it this way is going to make it easier for us to see the pattern. Now, after 2 days go by, how much money would she have? Remember, Y represents how much money she has. So Y would be equal to, well, she started $6 in debt, so there's the -6. She made $3 on the first day, but she also made $3 on the second day, right? Because 2 days have gone by here. So we can write that the amount of money she has now after 2 days would be -6 plus 3 plus another 3. Okay, and that would actually be 0. If you're thinking, can't we just write Y equals 0 after 2 days have gone by? Yes, but again, writing it this way just makes it easier to see the pattern. So let's do one more before we start actually thinking about this pattern. After 3 days go by, the amount of money she has would be equal to -6. That's how much she started with. She owed somebody $6, so that would be a -6. Plus she made $3 on the first day, plus she made $3 on the second day, plus she made $3 on the third day. She's making $3 every day. So if 3 days go by, then we can say plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, right? Okay, so at this point, you should be able to spot the pattern here. After 0 days go by, we have 0 3s over here. After 1 day goes by, we have 1 3 over here. 2 days, we have 2 3s, 3 days we have 3 3s, and it would just continue like that for 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, and so forth. And all of these are also starting with -6 because that's how much money she had or didn't have to begin with. All right. Now, can I rewrite this in a different way? What I'm going to do here is, instead of writing plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, what I could do is just say that this is the same thing as 3 times 3, right? 3 plus 3 plus 3 just means 3 times 3. And instead of writing 3 plus 3, well, I didn't have to erase that first 3. Instead of writing 3 plus 3, I could just write that as 3 times 2, because that's what 3 times 2 means, is 3 plus 3. instead of writing plus 3, well, that's simple enough, but just to make it look the same as these other ones over here, we could write this as 3 times 1. Okay, hopefully you agree that 3 is the same as 3 times 1. So even though I made this look different, I didn't change the value. And over here, there are 0 3s here. And this is pretty simple as it is, but I'm actually going to do the opposite of what we normally do, and I'm going to make it even less simple. But I just want to make it fit with this pattern here. I could say that this nothing that I had before is the same as 3 times 0. Okay, so now we're really starting to see a pattern here. After 0 days go by, the money that she had would be -6 plus 3 times 0. Okay, after 1 day, this is what it would be. After 2 days, this is what it would be. After 3 days, this is what it would be. Okay, so what about after X days go by? Well, hopefully you see the pattern here. The amount of money that she has, Y, would be equal to -6 plus 3 times X. I don't have to write the parentheses here. If I have 3 next to the X, that already means that they're getting multiplied. So you can see that after we wrote it this way, then it's actually pretty simple to see what the equation should be that describes the relationship between X and Y, X being the number of days that have passed, and Y being the amount of money that Lori has. Okay, so if I want to calculate how much money Lori has after a certain amount of days, then I would just do 3 times however many days went by, plus -6, or another way of saying that is -6 plus 3x. So this is the relationship that this is the equation that describes the relationship between the number of days that pass and the amount of money Lori has. And that's not the only way that we could have written it. We could have also written it y equals 3x minus 6. That would also be correct. The important things to remember is that the 3 should be next to the x. And if I change the position of this -6 to move it over here, then I should still have a minus sign in front of that. Okay? All right, so let's move on to the next example. Okay. We're going to do the same sort of thing here. So Murray decided to start working out at his local gym. The gym costs $100 per month, and there is a one-time fee of $50 that everyone has to pay when they first sign up. If X represents the number of months that have passed, and Y represents the amount of money Murray has to pay, write an equation that relates these two quantities. So after 0 months go by, then how much money does Murray have to pay? You might think, well, 0 months went by, he shouldn't have to pay anything. But actually, he would have to pay that $50 sign-up fee, right? So even after 0 months go by, no time has passed, he needs to hand over $50 just to gain access to the gym, okay? So the amount of money that he paid Y is equal to 50 after 0 months have gone by. After 1 month has gone by, then the amount of money he would have to pay is Y would be 50 plus 100. And yes, you're right, 50 plus 100 is 150. So I could just write Y equals 150 here. But again, I'm just writing it this way so that we can see the pattern more easily after we do a few of these. After 2 months go by, then it would be 50 plus, so he's paying $50 just to sign up for the gym. He only has to pay that once. He doesn't have to pay that over and over again. But he does have to pay the $100 over and over again for each month that he stays at that gym. So after 2 months go by, he would have to pay, or he paid $100 for the first month, and then he's going to pay another $100 for the second month. After 3 months go by, Y would be equal to 50 plus 100 plus another 100 plus another 100. Okay? And so you can start seeing the pattern here, but now let's just go ahead and rewrite all of this in a simpler way. Instead of saying 100 plus 100 plus 100, can't we just say that that is 100 times 3? And instead of saying 100 plus 100, we could just write that as 100 times 2. And instead of saying just 100, we could, even though that's already pretty simple, we could rewrite that as 100 times 1. And over here where there's nothing, we could write that as plus 100 times 0. Okay, because 100 times 0 is just 0, right? And 50 plus 0 is still 50. So all of this is just a more complicated way of writing y equals 50. But the way that we're writing it this way is to make it look like all the rest of these so that we can see a definite pattern here. After 0 months go by, the way that we would calculate how much money Murray had to pay would be y equals 50 plus 100 times 0. After 1 month, it would be y equals 50 plus 100 times 1. After 2 months, it would be y equals 50 plus 100 times 2. After 3 months, it would be y equals 50 plus 100 times 3, and so on and so forth. For 4 months, it would be y equals 50 plus 100 times 4. For 27 months, it would be y equals 50 plus 100 times 27. Okay? And in general, if X months pass, then the amount of money that Murray would have to pay for his gym membership is 50, that was the sign-up fee, he only had to pay that once, plus $100 times however many months have gone by. Okay, so if it was 39 months that went by, then X would be 39. Okay, we just plug in whatever the number of months is, we plug that in for X. But in general, the amount of money, Y, is equal to 50 plus 100 times X, okay, where X is the number of months, right? So that is the equation that would describe this relationship over here. Okay, notice that the thing that you only have to pay one time, we don't put the X next to that. But the thing that is recurring over and over and over again, like Murray has to pay this $100 every month, okay, over and over and over, that is going to have the X next to it. All right? All right. So I hope that was helpful, and have a great day.